Hi guys, it's Marilyn Miller again, owner of Pilates on Hudson, and I'm here to follow up on my breathing video that I did the other day, which I really thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We were talking a lot about the diaphragm in the other video, and today I'm going to talk about the muscles that compensate when your diaphragm isn't working. They're called your sternocleidomastoid mastoid muscles, or SCM, but I love that name. Big, wonderful name, sternocleidomastoids. So where are these muscles and what do they do? They are some really big jaw muscles, and they help connect the base of your skull to your chest. Now, I have beautiful sternocleidomastoid muscles right here. You can see that lovely line. If I bend forward a little bit, it exaggerates a little bit. So that is your SCM, your sternocleidomastoid muscle right there. See that? That's your SCM. So your SCM can pull your head downward. It can pull your head forward unilaterally or on one side. It works with a muscle in the back of your neck to rotate your head to the side. But if your head doesn't move, the sternocleidomastoid inserts into the upper three ribs. And so when it contracts, it can lift the rib cage up and down. So we talked the other day about that, how sometimes when we have a problem with our diaphragm not working correctly, that instead of the diaphragm drawing down, the rib cage lifts up away, because we're still trying to do the same action with the diaphragm, that you're trying to pull air into the lungs. So one way or another, we have to make that mechanism work. So I see a whole lot of stuff about people releasing the diaphragm. And here, we could talk about that a little bit more, but I'm thinking I'm going to see if we can release these sternocleidomastoid muscles, right? Because they're doing a whole lot of work and the diaphragm isn't doing anything. So the first way you might check to see, and this, by the way, this is using a technique called neurokinetic therapy, which is just absolutely amazing. If you haven't done any NKT, I highly recommend that you find a practitioner like myself to check it out. But anyway, so what we're doing here is we're going to see if we can match a muscle that's overworking with a muscle that's underworking. And in this case, we've got your sternocleidomastoid muscles that may be, this is not the case for everyone, but they may be overworking. And I want you to just push right there, right? So remember where that is, there and there, push right there. And as you do that, remember that breathing exercise we talked about? Purse your lips together and try and draw the air into your belly. And you notice how my neck and shoulders didn't move, and then you exhale. We're still having that image of the diaphragm drawing down in towards your belly when you inhale and drawing up underneath the rib cage. So one image I like to have with working that diaphragm when you're exhaling is, imagine if you literally could stick your hand down your throat and pull, like grab a hold of that diaphragm in the middle of your body and pull it all the way up into your throat. That's what I want you to feel when you're doing an exhale, right? So try that again. We're going to put the hands, find those sternocleidomastoids. If you're not sure, just turn your head and lean the ear forward a bit. You'll find it. Good. Find those sternocleidomastoid muscles. And again, take a deep breath in. And exhale. So if you felt these guys tightening up a lot when you were doing that breath, if you felt a lot of neck tension there, and especially if you felt like you were needing to lift your chest up a bit, you may be overworking these guys and underworking that diaphragm. And if that's the case, we don't need to really release the diaphragm because the diaphragm's just not working. It needs to be worked. These guys are overworking. So how do we release them? So the first thing is you can do just what we were doing. You want to see if you can find a really sore spot. So a lot of times if people are overworking their neck muscles, you'll find a really, really sore spot in there on the other side. And if you find a really sore spot on one side or another, and sometimes one side will be working more than the other, but if you find a really sore spot, you're just going to push, push, push hard on that sore spot, holding it there. and then release that, and then try doing that belly breath again. If you still feel like you're clenching in your jaw, you're lifting up your chest, another way to do a release on this is sit up straight. It's always the hardest thing. Sit up straight, turn your head to the side, lift up your chin, slide your chin out, lean your head backwards. You should feel a big stretch all the way down, really from your ear all the way down to your chest. Good. And do that again to the other side. So you're going to turn your head, you're going to lean back and lift up. So again, here's my sternocleidomastoid muscle that's going from my ear to my sternum, jutting your chin forward. Come back. You can do a bilateral SCM stretch as well, which is just simply, right? So that brings us to a little bit, though, when we're doing that, I mean, 2 seconds just to talk about the physics of the neck and how the neck moves, right? So the physics of the neck are such, basically the easiest image to use here is a Barbie doll or any kind of a doll, right? So most dolls have that little stopper, like that little plug that kind of goes into the hole of the neck. We've all seen a Barbie doll, and I don't know, if we were all kids, we popped the head off just to see, right, what happens when you pop the head off, right? So what happens is there's a little knob and it goes into a hole and it sits there. Well, amazingly enough, that actually copies reality. So C1, C2, our cervical vertebrae right at the base of our skull, is just like that. It's like we have a Barbie doll head, basically, right? So the top vertebrae, C1, pops into the notch of C2, and that allows the head to move around and twist and to bend forward and backwards and sideways and everything else. It's all because of how that C1, C2 vertebrae interconnection is. All of the other vertebrae are sitting right on top of each other and very flat like this with a disc in between. Not C1 and C2. C1 and C2 is your bobblehead, right? So when you do all of this movement, a lot of times we'll have someone who's got this chronic forward head position like that, you know, so you're really trying to work these muscles here to do all of your breathing. You're not working your diaphragm whatsoever. So you want to sit up nice and tall and straight in your chair. You want to think about where that C1, C2 connection is at the top of your neck, and you're just going to lift your head up, right? Now, why do I say sitting up as straight and tall as you can? Because if you're slouching and you've got a forward head, your head's already in what we call cervical extension in this position. You don't really have anywhere to go. So you have to bring your torso backwards in space. And then after you bring your torso backwards in space, now you have a little bit more space to stretch everything out, right? Now, there's a lot going on in terms of neck mechanics, and obviously if you have neck pain or neck issues or anything, or this causes you discomfort, don't do that. That's just an optional way to stretch it. So the other 2 ways, finding it with your hand to massage something on here is a really great way to start, right? If you can't seem to find a sore spot on that SCM, we can do the unilateral stretch. And of course, like I said, lastly, we've got the both sides, the bilateral stretch, but do be careful with your neck if you have neck injuries. And for all of these, yes, sitting up really nice and straight, find a hard back chair. So now that you've done that, we're going to practice the breathing again. Just like we did before, that image of the breath drawing down into the diaphragm, down into the belly, and exhale, releasing back up and down. So this should help you breathe a whole lot better if you feel like you've been having a hard time working with the video that I made about what the diaphragm is and how to do a diaphragmatic breath. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, but I do hope this helps. And again, my name is Marilyn Miller, owner of Pilates on Hudson, and I'll see you again soon. Stay safe.